Hey guys, today we're going to look at using the warp stabilizer on Premiere Pro. So I just want to give you a little tip for the future. If your Premiere Pro doesn't come up on the workspace that you want to use it for, so there's blocks and grids everywhere that you don't really want to use, like the audio mixer for example, all you need to do is go to Window, Workspaces, and Production, and then that'll help you kind of visually edit a bit more. So that's the first step we're going to do, or the first step we're going to make sure of today in this tutorial. So firstly, like always, you're going to want to click File and import your footage that you're going to be using to use the warp stabilizer on. And after we've done that, you want to drag it straight into your sequence, and that'll create a new sequence that we can edit on. So as you can see, this shot was filmed handheld. The idea was to get a kind of voyeuristic outlook onto the two characters you can see, like someone's behind a tree watching them. But what the problem is with it is it's too shaky. So it was filmed completely handheld, no gimbal or shoulder rig. So as you can see, there's a lot of human shake there. And what the warp stabilizer tool on Premiere Pro will do is remove that human shakiness from the shot. There'll still be some movement on it, but that's what we want for this shot. We just want to eradicate all the shakiness. So what you're going to do to get the warp stabilization effect on is right click on the project manager. There's two little arrows in the top right corner and go down to effects. And then you're going to click on video effects, go down to distort, and then you're going to click on warp stabilization, or you can more simply search for it at the top. And then you're going to drag it and put it on your clip. And then that will set off a process of analyzation for all the shakiness of the shot. That'll take a few minutes. And once your shot's rendered, this message might come up. To avoid extreme cropping, set framing to stabilize only or adjust other parameters. And that will require you to go down to smooth motion. That just tells the video the shot, you're wanting the shot to move instead of be stationary. So sometimes you can shoot handheld and change it so as if the camera was on a tripod, but this isn't what we're wanting to do today. So change it to smooth motion and you'll get that message will go away. And what you'll notice straight away on playback is that we've got a little warble going on through the shot, as if the camera was in jelly or something. What you want to do is change your smoothness from 50 to around 20. We'll try 20 straight away. But beware, you might be able to, or you might have to change it down a bit more as you go through the edit. And after changing down from 50 to 20 on the smoothness, you can already notice that there's a level of smoothness there. It's not perfect, we've still got bits to do, but you can notice that the shakiness from the camera has gone away. So that's the first step of correcting this footage. So the next step you're going to want to take is to make sure that your method on the icon display says subspace warp and not any of the other three options, and we'll go through why. For the position method, this just uses the position data of the camera in the footage to stabilize the image. So it's probably the most basic one. It doesn't really encompass the other aspects of the shot, like the movement and so on. For the perspective method, this will add corner pins into the frame so that the whole frame moves as a block. And you'll notice from the video that it looks very stiff and doesn't account much for fluidity in the camera movement. And subspace warp, the option we want to be using, this method warps all aspects of the frame individually, so stabilising the whole video in its entirety. So as a basic summary, the subspace warp method sort of does all the above and gives us a more complete warp. As you can see in the video, it's the most clean and it's the most fluid. And it's what we want to be using for shots of this nature. So as you'll notice when I turn the effect on and off in the video, the warp stabilization tool has cropped the shot quite significantly here. Now this isn't so much of a problem if we are shooting in 4K, as with 4K footage being edited in a 1080p sequence, we have over double the pixels recorded, meaning higher quality footage. So naturally, if we zoom in or crop in on the 4K footage, we get more detail, allowing us to get away with closely cropping during warp stabilization. But for 1080p footage, like the one in the video, we want to be cropping as little as possible whilst being able to stabilise the footage appropriately. Now to do this on Premiere Pro, we need to open Advanced Settings in the Effect Control, just there, and turn the Crop Less Smooth More setting down from 50 to around 20, but you can go lower and higher depending on your video. And as you can see, the crop has gone down after we changed that setting, so it's not zoomed in now, that's good. Now you'll want to make sure the framing setting is turned to Stabilize Crop Auto Scale. If you select just Stabilize only, this will expose the moving edges of the frame, which isn't good for much other than seeing what the Warp Stabilizer tool is actually doing. And this is similarly the case with Stabilize Crop. The Stabilize Crop Auto Scale setting does all the above and hides the exposed edges so we can stick it into our film. And that's kind of all the settings you need to do on this. Obviously, the numbers of stuff will depend on what clip you're using, but as a ballpark, all these settings can be true to most clips, because they'll reduce the shakiness quite drastically, but they'll keep the crop and the framing, and yeah, you'll get a smoother, less shaky cam footage if that's what you're after. So for review these shots. This is with the clip on the stabilization. So as you can see, we've got a smooth kind of movement with the camera. It's not shaky like we saw those human shakes at the beginning. It's nice and smooth. And if we go back to the original, you can just see how bad that shaky cam was because we didn't have a shoulder rig, and you know how much it's changed since we put these settings on. So yeah, give it a go, guys. If you've got your own clips, that's brilliant, but you can have access to this clip on the blog and just give it your best shot and have a play with all the settings. When you've finished it, export the footage as a H.264 and stick it up on your blogs, and it will show a progression through turn 3.